Morning. How are you doing this morning? Um, I don't know how many watched my video yesterday when I was changing the cylinder from a 72 stitch to a 64 stitch. And I was running into an issue with trying to, uh, I was just making a heel on the scrap yarn just to make sure everything is working properly, and I just couldn't get my heel spring to work. And I finally figured what the issue was. I was threading the heel spring incorrectly. So it's all good now. Again, not the machine's fault, user error. So I'm putting my sock bonnet on in order to knit some sock tubes. These are for an order, so not my personal socks, but getting into the groove of using the machine again, which is nice. So let me go ahead and hang the weight on. See, that's the weight that goes. You can see it. It's pretty heavy. That goes underneath to hold the sock under tension so that the stitches fall off when they're supposed to. So this is again scrap yarn. And you can see the reason why you do scrap yarn is in case some needles are not knitting, you can make sure all of them are knitting properly. That's looking good. Okay. Before I continue, the one few things I wanted to check was my tension dial. I have to figure out what tension dial to use these particular yarns at. Um, First I have a Seahawks colorway, and it's truly very Seahawksy. This is 85% merino, 15% nylon, 100 grams, 440 yards. So I have my cheat sheet here, which I have used with yarns before. So I'm going to look for something that's similar in weight and yardage and content. I don't see anything which is identical. The closest is Lorna's Laces, which is 100 grams for 30 yards, but it's a 80-20 mix, and that goes at 4.75. I can try at the tension 5 setting and see how that goes. So this is where I change the tension. Uh, it's actually not a tensioner, it's actually a stitch size is what you change. The reason why I land up using the term tensioner is very much like tension on hand knitting. Okay, so I need to count now. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think 5 to 4.75 is usually a decent average, so let me go there at 5. And I think if I even compare the yarns, do look pretty similar. So 4.75 actually should be the rating. So let's go 4.75 only. And then I can even make a note for this particular yarn brand what I need to use it for. So this is still using the junk yarn. Alright, I think that's good. I'm going to cut it here and add my ravel cord in between. So that guy goes up there now. And let's just throw that extra bit of yarn there. Now the ravel cord, which is 100% nylon, that goes in. Need to make sure those few stitches catch in, and that will be the first round. And slip that past back in. Okay. Now we can go on to our actual sock yarn, which is the Seahawks colorway. And let me see who's the yarn dyer. The yarn dyer is Lolo Did It. Oh, I love her yarns. So it's one of her yarns. It's actually that's the name of the customer who I'm knitting it for. She wanted 64 stitch tubes, so I write that on the label so I don't get mixed up whose yarn goes where. And it's the Go Hawks colorway. So I'm surprised I haven't knit Lolo's any of her yarns on my machine yet. So this is good. Go Seahawks, right? Oh, wait a second. That was a goof up. Uh, I need to back up here. Because I need to put some waste yarn first. Alright, so before I put the actual yarn, I need to put my scrap yarn. Because when I give these tubes to customers, they can unravel themselves rather than already giving them an unraveled bit. These are the extra needles I removed yesterday from the 72 stitch cylinder, so I don't need that anymore. But now I have to make sure that these guys knit up. Okay, this is going to be challenging because I know I'm going to land up dropping stitches because of what I just did. Bad behavior. Okay, so I think I got that caught up there. I know I should have probably just continued with that, but okay. Okay, I know I dropped one stitch, which is fine. I can go ahead and fix that. Well, this is still junk yarn, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another ravel cord in between here, and then all these tiny things which tend to slow you down. So even though it's, knitting the tube is a lot faster than knitting by hand, uh, it's a process. It's not, magic that you just throw yarn at this thing and it'll knit a tube. I wish, but it doesn't work that way. And with every yarn, there is a new learning process. Alright, so now we have switched on to this cylinder. Alright, so that was the junk yarn that goes. Now we move on to our actual sock yarn. And I think I'm going to move on to, I'm going to keep it at 4.75, do a few rounds and see if I want to change the tension. But I think it should be good for that. Because the yarn does look a little on the thinner side. So maybe I could even increase the tension, but let's see. Yeah, let's try going 5. Oh, that's looking good. Yeah, that tension is much better. So let me make a note of it. Where did I put my pencils? So Loro did it. 100 grams, 440 yards, 55 merino, 15 nylon. I'm doing a tension 5. Okay. Now we are all set to move ahead. You know what? I think this tension is too loose. Okay, I think I might need to re-knit this one. Like I said, it's not as simple as just throwing the yarn in there and knitting a tube. Like this one, like I can make out the stitches are a lot bigger. So I am going to move on to 5.25 because yeah, on the 64th stitch I've never done anything tighter than 5.25, so let's do that. No, it's not working that well, so back to 5. I'm not liking the tension at even 5, 5. I think I need to increase it. So Let me knit a few more rows and then I will end up winding this yarn again. I'm not going to knit the whole tube and re-knit it, but um, okay, let's try 5 rounds. Okay, that is definitely a lot better. Let me knit some more on this, and I will be re-knitting this sock all over again, because especially with variegated yarns like this, if I do change the tension in between, the pooling and the stripe sequence of the sock will change, and I don't want that to happen. I want it to be, the same throughout, and because I did change the tension, the pooling sequence will change. So I'll just re-knit it again. But now I know the setting to knit it at. I definitely cannot make the stitch size any smaller than this because I can already see the stitches rising a little bit. This is the tightest tension this particular yarn can knit at without, causing problems. Okay, I just want to check out the sock material, whether it's better than before. Yeah, this is definitely better. So, and the stripe sequence actually hasn't changed much, but I am going to re-knit it again. Let me just finish up this sock and then I will do the next sock and then rewind this one and redo it. Not a problem. Okay, so this, let me make a note of it so that the next time around I know what tension to knit this at. I'm feeling lazy to remove it now and then hang my bonnet again and everything. I might as well just knit the whole sock. I'll get to have a look at the tension of the yarn properly after it's off the machine, and then decide based on that as to what tension I want for the whole sock. And I can probably show you how this stripe sequence changes if it did change. Sometimes it doesn't. doesn't look like the stripe sequence has significantly, it hasn't changed actually. So I'll just let the sock tube rest and then see how the tension is, and then reknit the whole thing again. That way I am not going to cut my yarn or anything there. I'm just going to pass the rest of it, if I can, that is, back in there and do my usual scrap yarn. Everyone is super quiet today. Is my mic even on? I see there are people watching, which is fine. You don't have to talk. You don't have to chat. Ravel cord again. And then let's put this guy in. Okay, now we move on to the next yarn. So the next yarn I need to do is some really fancy yarn actually. It is a brownish looking yarn, but this is Magpie, and it is a merino, cashmere and nylon blend. 80 it's called Swanky Sock, and the colorway is Ghost Town. 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylons. These will be really soft and squishy socks. I don't know why isn't focusing. Focus. Focus, dude. I need to figure out the whole focusing thing on my camera as to why doesn't want to focus when I want it to focus. These are supposed to be, yeah, there you go. Also, magpiefibers.com. So that's one of her yarns. I'm not gonna assume anyone's gender. People assume that I am a woman most of the time. If they just see my name, they just think it's the name Sharon that is misspelled. So it's fine. So this one, I think I'm going to, again, I have never knit with this yarn before, an MCN blend. Oh, I have, and it's at 4.75. It's not the same exact brand of yarn, but it's pretty close. So let's try attention 5. Let's go. No. The weight has reached the bottom. These are nice. I like the variation of the speckles in this one. This is nice. This is so soft and squishy. These are nice socks. These are going to make some really nice and squishy soft socks. So, is anyone interested in watching me knit an entire sock? Ribbing, foot, the heel, toe, full sock? If yes, then I will go live doing that. Um, I haven't done it in almost a year. I've just been knitting a lot of tubes for orders. When it comes to knitting socks for myself, I do like to knit the entire sock on the machine rather than do an afterthought heel and stuff. For some yarns, like if it's a self-striping yarn, yes, I will do the afterthought heel because I don't want to stop the striping sequence. But for other yarns, I would just do the entire sock on here. And I want to make some socks for gifts as well, so I kind of want to start with making a sock for myself first. I want to try some new things which I haven't done before. I want to add some nylon, not nylon, but this stretchy, what's it called? Lycra in the cuff of the sock so that it stays on better just in the cuff, and then I'll remove the lycra and then just knit the sock as it is. So I want to try a few of those things. So might be a lot of trial and error and no success at the end, but you're welcome to join me there. I will see if I can go live. If there is interest, for sure, just post in the chat and then I'll plan accordingly. Otherwise, I'll leave the mistakes just to myself and not for everyone to be viewed. Moving the weights up. I just need to check something on my phone real quick. Time to move the weights again. coming to the end of this. I think that will be the last bit. Scissor. To make a note of this was also at 5 point, a little greater than 5. But let me put my waste yarn in here, and then I'm going to remove the socks from the tube, and let's see whether the striping sequence of that first Seahawks colorway changed by me changing the tension. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't matter. So, but I will reknit that one again. Alright, so we are done here, and there. The sock is out. Oh, this MCN base by Magpie is just, if you could just feel how squishy. And look at the nice stitch definition. I hope it focuses so you can see. Come on, focus. Focus, focus, focus. Why doesn't it focus? Focus. Sometimes I put my hand or something forward, it does. Focus. There you go. Look at those stitches. Isn't that beautiful? I just love the way this came out. And it's so soft and squishy. This will make a nice pair of socks. And see, this is a good tension as well. This is probably like a good 7 to 8 stitches an inch. That's good. So that's the 64 stitch cylinder, and this is the Seahawks yarn, which is different, but this also at 5.25 tension or stitch size. um, I like I like it. uh, this is what it was in the beginning, which is actually not that different, and it didn't change the striping sequence, so that's kind of good. But I will reknit that, just because in my mind there's a different tension for a few inches of the sock, and that's going to bother me. So I'm just going to reknit that one again. But yeah, I like it. See it. So this is what the colorways, which are um, you know uh, hand dyed. They're not really self striping, but they do this kind of striping sequence, which is kind of like pooling. So it's doing a spiral actually, but it looks very much like a striping yarn, so it's not too bad. It's much easier to do than self-striping yarn when it comes to dyeing. That I'm sure of. So, so those are done. Well, I have to reknit the blue one, the Seahawks colorway again. So, and I'll make notes of the changes I've done. So, just in case I get the same yarns again and I have to knit it on a 64 stitch cylinder, I know exactly what to do. Alright, well, I hope this was fun, and maybe I'll knit a full sock for myself. I do have the yarn already wound up in a cone. It's kind of very 4th of July colorways actually, but I might make this into a sock for myself. And see, hey, it's election time, right? Might as well um, Knit socks. We finally got our ballots in yesterday, and I'm going to be mailing that today. So, everyone, vote, 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 vote. All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.